Junk video. I'm pretty sure it's going to have Brett Keane in it. Yeah, so it's probably going to be junk. Anyway, so, he has, whatever, fingered my ass just about right to get me to do this, whatever, answer some question things and whatever, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to do it. What the fuck? It's stupid questions, and so I hate question videos, never do them. But what the hell? He made a video, so I'll do it. I'll just, whatever, I'll do it. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Well, we'll see about that. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Inmendham.
Yeah.
The first question is, what is your views on sex? How do you feel about it?
Sesh? Yeah, shesh is, what, is that some kind of herb that grows in China or something? Shesh? I don't know. Yeah, well, if you can get it, great. It's the whole art thing. I mean, right? It's sex. It's all there is. I mean, there's only two things of merit, right? There's sex and there's philosophy. Yeah, right, that's it, right? Sex and science. Sex and whatever. There just isn't anything else. I mean, and everything is kind of sex. I mean, just in a way. I mean, anything that's any good, it's somehow there's sex tied to it somewhere. Sort of. Kind of. Whatever. It's just a really powerful thing. But I don't know. It is complicated. But see, I'm not. I'm so distant from it in so many ways. But it's always there, right? I mean, it's there. Whether you're sexual in the world, you're still sexual. So it's that sensual thing. So sensual still exists, and as long as that exists, you got 90% of the game. 90% of the game is the internal game. You could say it's 100%. It's all a head game. Everything's a head game. Everything's just your brain, right? Really. Right now I can just pretend. I can just, make up a fable, make up a story, and just say, okay, that's my story. I could make up some idiotic excuse for why I haven't had sex for a while, or some other thing. I could just make up some sort of stupid story, like, oh yeah, I was busy with the CIA over there, and I had to do this and this and this, and this is why. No, it's not because I'm a failure, or I'm a bum, or a loser. No, I could just make up some other explanation. And you can even do that. So there's no point. This subject is just too big. Yes, big. Yes, but it is. Because you get into every bit of fantasy and just that whole idea of the aesthetic, the beautiful, erotic. I mean, all those things, and all these things have so much to do with just so much of what you construct as bliss and peaceful and nice and all that kind of crap. So, yeah, it's good. Sex is a good thing. But understand what it's made out of. It's all this just, most of it is this personal, from my perspective. It's, a lot of it is just kind of the vanity of sex. It's half having, but it's also just that idea of somebody wanting, being wanted. So it's just a lot of emotional crap that's tied into it too. But I mean, a big part of it is just that whole aesthetic thing, that whole, and it just gets into that whole male thing. Yeah. I mean, so you do it from a perspective, right? So you have a perspective you're doing the sex from. So you can have an opinion about sex in general, or you can talk about it from where it comes from for you. Now, I don't know if I'm doing that.
Is it something that has any kind of value, or is it overrated? Is it something that you need? Something that'll make you feel good? What is sex to you? Can you define it? I want to hear the Inmendham dictionary definition.
But you have to go ask Inmendham, because I'm inmendham. I'm not Inmendham. So, if you want Inmendham's opinion, you have to go ask Inmendham, not Inmendham. But it doesn't really matter. His opinion is probably the same. Yeah. It's not vital. It's not any of that stuff. But just kind of depends on what you live for, right? Some people live for fishing, or bowling. You know, just kind of depends. But you know, to me, it's tied into that whole aesthetic thing, the art thing. So yeah, it makes me squint. It's, you know, that it hurts. But it's that beautiful pain. It's just the right kind of, you know. But you know, but it's just so wrong in so many ways too, right? I mean, the rude to beauty thing, the tragedy, the horror. There's no point in getting into it. It's way too complicated a subject. There's just no way to negate it. If I didn't have an intellect, if I didn't have a brain that actually thought of other principled ideas and just this whole idea of solving problems or fixing something that's broken and all that kind of crap, yeah, sex is the game. There's no other game going on. I mean, it's, you know, yeah, it's what snack food is for. So you don't have to waste too much time on food, and you can just get back to the sex thing. Chase it.
Hell, give me the inmendham Wikipedia version if you like. What's your views on drugs? Do you think drugs actually make people more creative, more intelligent, or enhance their existence in any kind of way you've heard about?
Yeah, well, they enhance me, right? But I do everything better than everybody else, right? I mean, that's just the way it works. So, yeah, me on drugs is good. Everybody else on drugs is bad. Yeah, I mean, I've sort of lost my patience with it, to tell you the truth. I mean, you know, when you're young, you have patience for all this shit, and I just don't have any patience for this. You just see it on YouTube, you know, the potheads with their dude shit and this mellow attitude, and you know, they're just so irrelevant to being anything called sophisticated or relevant, or, you know, they're just brain dead. And, you know, and then when you get into all these worse drugs, and then alcohol, I've never really had a great opinion of alcohol. I mean, it's a semi-interesting drug in terms of its effects, but it really is just, you know, it's only the only thing it has going for it is that it's free, you know, in terms of it's legal. But that's it. Otherwise, it just sucks as a drug. It's just stupid. Makes people assholes. Makes me an asshole, and I'll concede that. Truth is, if I could eradicate the capacity to intoxicate humans, to make them, to have anything that would intoxicate them, I would eliminate the capacity, because I don't think it's done humans any good at all. It's been all negative, all downside. Nothing good comes of this intoxication thing. It's just escapism. It destroys people. It breaks their functionality. It's just all bad. So, yeah, I'm not for prohibiting it. I'm just saying I think it's all crap. It's all bungee jumping bullshit. Especially now, because people are just stunt drugging. It's all a stunt now. Everybody does drugs now as some sort of macho thing. You know, it's just stupid. I can out-drug you. Yeah, well, good. Go ahead. Fucktard.
People who take drugs and, you know, get into vehicles and drive down the highway and they get to see sparkly things right before they run over some innocent child. Let's also ask you the question about rock and roll and your favorite music. Is there a certain band you like?
Yeah, but yeah. Well, look, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm the wrong guy for that. I like mellow music. Always did. Something that's going to soothe me. And I always kind of like chicks singing at me. You know, just kind of a chauvinism thing, I suppose. Whatever. It's part of that aesthetic love thing. The whole whatever. It's all tied to that somehow. So that's what music was for me too. So I mean, yeah. I mean, 90% of the music I listened to was a chick singing. And so they didn't even have to be that good, just as long as it was a chick and it wasn't loud. I just didn't like yelling. I don't like getting yelled at. So, yeah, I mean, I can just say, yes, some kind of song. I'll say, okay, yeah, that's good. But, yeah, I don't want to listen to it all day. So, yeah, I tended to like the depressing music. Sinead O'Connor, you know, I liked some of that. You know, I tend to like depressing music, I have to concede.
seem to hold a great attribute to Mr. D. Snyder from Twisted Sister, so I was wondering what it is that...
Yeah, well, see, that's an example. I don't even consider him a musician. I don't consider him anything even... It doesn't have anything to do with music. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it wasn't music.
You like. Name 3 bands that you like, 3 songs that you can't live without.
Oh, dear. No, I don't think I'll do that. No, I don't think I'll bother doing that. Well, okay, I'll try. Bands. I don't really like bands. Yeah. I mean, Fleetwood Mac was good. Elton John was good. These are, I didn't have too many albums. If only I only had like 3. Linda Ronstadt, the old Linda Ronstadt. Yeah, but I'm not, songs I liked. I mean, like I said, it was always some sort of chick thing, so that's sort of personal. So, yeah, fuck you. I'm not going to answer that.
And please tell me that you're not a techno trance listener or listen to some kind of old 1950 country, or I will just...
Yeah, whatever. But I do kind of like space music. I do kind of like that Cosmos. Remember this Cosmos show, that little space... Yeah, that works for me. I like that.
Simply hang myself in the coat closet. Would you suffer for love? Is love worth suffering for? If you have someone that you love, whether it be a wife...
Well, you're doomed, right? So you're always going to suffer. If you love somebody, they're going to die, or you're going to die, or something horrible is going to happen. It's all going to go to hell, and it's going to suck. So you're better off not being too much in love. You don't appreciate when you have it anyway, right? You only appreciate when you lost it. That kind of shit that happens. There's no happily ever after. There's seldom even a happily the next day. There is, but there isn't. I mean, we're just so gluttonous. We're just so insatiable. And so if you have the right perspective and you control your psychology, yes, you can try to maintain something for quite a while. You can keep the plates spinning, and it can seem like it's working. And I'm not saying people can't make it work. They can make it work. I'm just saying, the harder you love, the harder you fall kind of thing. The more invested you are in it, the more fragile it is, the more brittle it is. You can make all kinds of analogies, the harder the steel, blah, 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 all kind of crap like that. So, how hot it is and whatever. Yeah, there's lots of, it's doom, though. There's pain written all over it. To really gain, you need the pain in a way, too, right? You kind of got to be hungry. And that hunger's got to be earned for you to really appreciate what it is. And to really... to really savor the victory. You got to know what it is to lose a few hundred times.
Girlfriend or a father or mother or relative or friend, would you be willing to suffer for them if the situation come up? And people have suffered throughout their existence. Throughout history, people have suffered for those which they love.
Yeah, well, frankly, I'd rather jump on a grenade for people I don't even know. It just makes it easier if it's just some sort of obligation. Oh, it's your turn. Okay, I'll jump on the grenade. Or draw straws and you're just the one who jumps on the grenade today. Doing things for love gets to be really gnarly, right? But you end up sacrificing some piece of yourself and then you kind of resent it if they don't appreciate it and all that kind of crap. So, I don't know, that gets a little messy. I mean, ideally, I wouldn't want somebody to do that for me. I wouldn't want somebody to sacrifice themselves for me, right? For love, right? If I love them, I wouldn't want them to diminish their prospects, have their leg cut off for me. So that gets a little bit sloppy and messy and difficult. But I mean, yeah, I think I'd show up if there was something if it was, I'm not gonna, there's some things I just don't know. I don't know about if I'd give somebody my kidney or something. I mean, I wouldn't, I wouldn't give me a kidney. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't do that. I mean, it's just not the kind of thing I would do. But I don't know how much of myself I would cut up to give to somebody else. I guess part of it is, too, is that I'm so you're living on such a, you're barely clinging to the edge of the cliff kind of thing. You're barely hanging on to a life, just kind of barely. And so there's so little you can really, I can't make this that much worse, or, there's no hanging on. I can't cut one of my fingers off because it's all that's holding me up here. So, so I don't know what to say to that. Love, I'm just not that big. I'm not a big fan of the word love as a word of affection. It's usually a word of desire, selfishness, selfish motivations, and prejudice and bigotry. You love things for all the wrong reasons, because they're cute, or because they're done something for you, or it's to your advantage, or sometimes you love things and they don't earn it. And that's sort of irritating. And I like the things that I love to actually earn it, instead of just looking good or being my family or something. Getting it for nothing. You don't have to do anything but not be a complete asshole. So I don't like the word love much.
You do the same, or is suffering to you more important or more invaluable than love? Let's see. Do you think that you fit in the atheist community? Do you? There's some atheists out there who don't feel like they fit in. They feel like the black sheep. Where do you stand? Do you think like you're the president of the atheist community, or are you the little guy?
Man, whatever. I'm probably the only atheist in the atheist community, because it seems like the rest of the atheists aren't really atheists. But they seem to believe in an awful lot of bullshit. Sorry. But they don't seem to believe in evolution, that's for sure. And they don't seem to believe in the idea of unintelligent design. And they seem to believe in a bunch of unrealistic and improbable nonsense. And the only thing that has any real value, this whole suffering thing, they'll nihilistically or Nietzscheistically destroy the meaning of that. So, I don't know. Atheists are weird, if there are any. I don't like them much. I don't sense I have much in common with them. I mean, the realization that life is fundamentally fucked up, to me, is the only rational atheistic concept. I mean, it's just a consequence of being an atheist. An atheist, you're conceding a universe that isn't intelligently functioning, intelligently designed. I mean, it goes with the territory. You can't claim there's no God and then somehow claim, but the intelligence is built in somehow. That sounds like a God. And so if you concede the point that it's not intelligently designed and that we're incredibly complex, well, complexity and a lack of intelligence doesn't sound like a good combination. Not too many things you can think of that are incredibly complex and unintelligent and good. No, it's going to be a problem. And it seems like most atheists don't want to deal with the problem. They just want to do the unicorn thing. The fable, the fairy tale, some other fairy tale. Maybe it doesn't have God in it, but it has something like a God in it.
He just screams and yells every now and then. Or do you feel like you have something to offer to the table? What is it? What is it that you have for the community? Or perhaps, do you feel like there's even an atheist community at all?
Yeah, that's true. Consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction. I could do the, new metaphor might just be the whole idea that you have the replicating cell, and you start from there. And the consequence of replication is selection, because now you have something being created, so it's selected for what the new copy will look like. And the product of selection is tools, so it might be, replication, selection, tools, and then you get into like intelligence as a weapon, as a tool. We're back to gladiator war and all that kind of crap. I don't want to do the whole list of all the crap that I've brought to the table, or tried to put on the table on YouTube, and most of it's been impossible to have rational conversation about, with atheists. Things like virtual reality, they seem incredibly hostile to, which is hilarious. It really is.
What are your thoughts on Christopher Hitchens, George Carlin, C.K. Lewis, and Bill?
Slow down. C.K. Lewis, I don't know who that is. Christopher Hitchens is dead, and I didn't like him much. Warmongering crazy fuck, right? Yeah, he's all over the place. I remember he used to talk about Clinton doing like the cocaine thing or something, like, Clinton was flying cocaine into the White House or something, and you're just like, what are you talking about, you fucking idiot? It's just nutty shit. So when he's anti-something, he just turns into a propagandist. He's just an insane propagandist. So I give him no points for that, And frankly, there's some of the arguments I saw him have, like with Al Sharpton and somebody else. I thought he lost the fucking argument. I thought he made a really poor argument. I thought he just looked like a propagandist and a snarky asshole. So, frankly, I didn't like him much. And to tell you the truth, I liked him a lot more before he became a Republican and a warmonger. Yeah. Who was the other one? Christopher Hitchens, somebody before that. George Carlin, yeah. Well, Carlin was, that's way back to my day, right? I used to watch him way back in the Tonight Show days with Johnny Carson and that kind of shit. And, before the heart attacks and whatnot. But anyway, doing jokes about blue food. And he did the 7 words you can't say on television thing that, it's some very funny stuff. But then I saw how he actually, how you engineer comedy. And that sort of bugged me a little, that he really did seem like he did engineer it. I mean, he took like a year, 2 years to come up with a routine. And that's what it was. It's a routine, and it just seems way so... Well, obviously it's the thing to do, right? I mean, I guess if you can afford to do it. And so he was obvious... Well, whatever. I'm not going to take something... I mean, that's the way you do this stuff. I just didn't know that's the way comedy was made. I didn't know they spent like 2 years, writing jokes. The jokes aren't that good. They don't feel like they're 2-year-old jokes. Like, it took 2 years to engineer this joke. It's such a great joke. But apparently it did. So, and then he was so cynical at the end. It was just so, give up, quit, cop out, just fall out, bail out. So it was Timothy Leary useless kind of philosophy, and so I have no use for that shit. So that pissed me off. So that sort of spoiled Carlin for me, is that it just became too feudalistic and fatalistic, and don't even try anymore. Just everybody's an asshole, you be an asshole too. And I just thought that was a shit message.
Oh, Burr. What would be a justifiable...
Yeah, the other guy is boring. Yeah, that'll be my answer. Boring.
...reason to kill an animal? I am aware that you love animals.
Yeah, whatever. Killing, see, you're already in trouble right there. Killing things, I don't know. You can kill things all you want as long as you do it well. So killing doesn't bother me any. So go ahead, kill animals if you want to kill animals. My problem is with you imposing harm and torture on animals. Killing them, it's not a thing that worries me too much.
You care about animals and stuff. You're like the Ace Ventura of YouTube, or is that Onision? Doesn't matter. What is a good reason to kill it?
That wasn't a 2-year-old joke, was it? No, that was a 22-second joke kind of thing. But whatever. Yeah, I'm just saying, sentient things that feel, you don't fuck around and waste their sensation. You're maximizing. If you're not going to do that, then yeah, it's bullshit. You suck. I just don't see any point in forcing animals to serve your purposes, their life to serve your purposes, to impose harm for your purposes, because you don't have a purpose that's good enough. There's nothing you're doing that justifies imposing harm on anything for you to do it. That's just my opinion.
An animal, a justifiable reason in your mind. Let's see. Can suffering ever be good, and could you give an example? Do you like...
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of silly, right? It's always from our negative perspective anyway. So, I mean, and from the the way we value. So, this whole mechanism of desire is, of course, we're going to say, well, to satisfy a desire, I'm willing to, burn some flesh off to get there. So you're going to justify some pain for what you perceive to be the gain. I'm going to argue that that's just a delusion, and that's just your psychology owning you. That it's all synthetic value, that you're creating, you're accepting a negative real value to attain a synthetic fake, positive. And that it is all just digging our way out of a hole nature puts you in, and this perception of you see the light and you keep climbing up like you're actually going to get out of the dungeon, but you're never going to get out. You're just going to think you're getting closer to the surface. And it's that illusion that keeps you in the game, keeps you crawling, keeps you wearing your fingers down, accepting the pain of the struggle, because you think there's something you're going to get when you get up there. And all you're going to get is a kick back down. But whatever. It's too, theoretically, I'd say there's no gain, okay, that's real enough for a rational price to be paid for it. But would I, as a psychology, accept some pain for some perceived accomplishment? Yeah, of course.
Chocolate bananas?
Yeah, whatever, stupid question. I don't think really chocolate and banana goes together all that well anyway. I mean, like banana splits, never really, it's okay. The ice cream and the banana seem to go together okay, but the chocolate and the banana didn't really do much for me. Move along.
I know what you're going to think. The moment you hear that.
No, I'm not going to think that.
Of pleasant thoughts of just chocolate bananas. Oh. Here we go. What's your views on Jay Leno?
Lenham. Yeah, Jay Leno. Yeah, I think he needs a better job. I mean, being a coal miner and such is, it's nowhere. That's not going anywhere. But Jay Leno, whatever, the asshole and the other asshole. I hate talk show hosts. I think they're lame. I hate celebrities. I think they're lame. Yeah, it all sucks. What do you want me to say? The band guys are even worse. The whole fucking facade of it, the whole let me entertain you with my 5 minutes of witticisms. Ugh, fuck it. Yeah, sorry, I'm just not a stand-up comedy kind of guy. This doesn't do that much for me. And frankly, I just don't have any use for trivial, stupid conversation about silly and stupid stuff.
Or Conan O'Brien or David Letterman.
Yeah, I don't know. Be nice if they all, got wiped out in a tragic football accident of some kind.
Have you told your parents that you wish to never have been born?
Yeah, I did that a couple of times, actually. So I did back in the old teen angst kind of period, when I was young, teenager. I kind of sat there and had a conversation with my mother and kind of just like, what the fuck were you thinking? What the hell do you have kids for? What am I doing here? What was the plan? What was your big ambition? And she didn't have any really good answers. She just basically, oh, I'm sorry. Whatever. I thought it was a good idea at the time. Well, the expression of our love. Some sort of crap like that. And then later, when they're much older, I had the same kind of conversation. And they basically admitted, yeah, if they had to do over again, they would have never gotten into all this gnarly mess because it's just a horror. Yeah. And everything worked out pretty well for them. That's the funny part. I mean, statistically, I mean, obviously my sister dying wasn't too much fun. But, yeah, I mean, they conceded that they didn't really think about it. And they probably should have.
That's a good question. I think a lot of people have wondered should they do that, or some people have out of anger or whatever the event might be. I'd like to know your views on it.
But you said the word anger, but there's a lot of people who have kids out of anger. They think they're angry at the world, or they're angry at their parents, or they're angry at some kind of bullshit, and they think they're going to fix the problem by having a kid of their own. And it's just hilarious. They have no prospect of doing it right, no likelihood of it. They just have some vague notion that, oh, I won't be as big an asshole as my mother or my father. And but they haven't realistically thought about what kind of asshole they actually are going to be.
Spend as much time as you like telling us about it.
No.
Is love based on conditions?
Well, like what kind of conditions? Yeah, I guess so, for me anyway, because it's usually tied to some kind of aesthetic shit and all that kind of crap. And then it's not love, then it's just dependency, right? Addictions. You can be addicted to people, and so lots of negative things can tie you to people, and people want to call that love, but I don't think that's really love. So I'd say that love should be conditional, or it's not love, it's something else.
Some people believe it. Some people believe that in order to have love, there has to be conditions to it. A person has to go from A to B, jump through hoops and all that, in order to be able to find that love or be able to obtain it or even hold it. What do you think? Let's see.
I just think it's a stupid word. I don't think we should use the word love. I think we ought to be more specific with, there's things that tie us to people, and maybe we should come up with better words to describe those things that tie us to people. Respect and honor and gratefulness and all kinds of different kinds of things that tie us to people.
Can death be positive? Is there ever a time in your perspective where death just seemed like it was the right thing to do? Whether human?
That doesn't even make any sense, but yeah, it's the right thing, trust me. It's always the right thing. It's always the right meal from death. Yes.
Or animal, or both, of course, being that humans are animals.
Oh, God, I'm so tired. Ask me a question about being tired. Get this going.
Do you prefer a virgin over a whore? If you had the opportunity to have a sexual experience and you had a...
Jesus. Well, I don't think that'll ever happen. Well, frankly, I wouldn't want to do the virgin thing, so those are bad choices, right? It's like you don't want a girl that's done it, takes it too casually, and you don't want one that doesn't know what the fuck she's doing either, so you want something in between. Somebody takes it seriously, hasn't given it away frivolously, like to everybody, and, it's somehow going to be able to know you from the rest anyway, at least. Some hope that you have some capacity to be the best they ever had. It'd be nice. You'd like to be able to do that. Say, I did it right. I got it right. You want to be able to do that. Of those two choices, though, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know if I'd want to deal with the virgin thing. I mean, I just don't know if I'd want the responsibility of busting somebody and all that shit. I just don't want that. Kind of creeps me out a little bit, actually. A used virgin would be cool. Slightly used.
Choose between an attractive whore or an attractive prostitute, what would it be? Did I say prostitute and whore? I'm sorry. Let's try that one more again. One more again. If you had a choice between a virgin or a whore, what would it be? And we're really talking about experience here. Experience or lack of experience. What do you think would be the best bet for you? Let's see. What does art mean to you? Everybody's got their own perspective of art, and also the dictionary has its version, but I want to hear the inmendham version because I know you to be a creative person.
I don't even know if I'm that. Art's a weird thing, right? Because art sometimes is just making something that already exists permanent. Or posing it, freezing a moment in time. Perspective even. Seeing something from a place you can't usually see it, or seeing it in colors you never saw before, or, that's an example. Me in colors. So art is this aesthetic thing, it's a beauty thing, it's a tragedy thing, it's, and then there's the skill level to it. Some art is just preposterously skillful, the David or some other, stuff that you're just like, just the fact that a human being is able to produce something like that is impressive. But yeah, the composition sometimes, it's like the Sistine Chapel is fantastic artwork, but the composition itself is kind of suck, most of it. I mean, short of the Adam God scene, the rest of it's, who cares?
Can you suck on my cigarette a little bit here? Give me a moment, Mr. Inmendham.
No, I don't think I will.
Good stuff.
That's for sure, though. I agree.
Who is Inmendham and who is self? Basically, who are you? Besides this YouTube name, besides these videos that you make, who are you inside? What are you? Who are you?
Yeah, whatever. The
You've said
smiling
the
penis.
Are
Yay. Yeah, no, I'm just whatever. It's got to be a word for, yeah, no, I'm just whatever. What are you? The weird thing is your life is all these decades, right? So you go through a decade here, and decade. You can almost make them that markers, and you just say, this is the different person you were through each one of these decades, or at least you lived in a different world. Your worlds change, and what you do changes, and what you care about sort of changes, sort of. But then in some respects, some parts of you just never get any older. Some parts of you get incredibly worn out. Yeah. But yeah, what I've always been is a complainer. I've always been aware of a disquiet between myself and the facts of life. As soon as I heard some of the facts of life, I said, that doesn't sound too good. That doesn't sound too good. I mean, it never really appealed to me. It always just sounded like, well, that sounds kind of stupid, and that's bad. That's just outright horrifying. And I was like, if you're not going to do it right, why are we doing it at all? Why am I here again? What's my role here? Yeah, sorry. It's just never really, I have never really understood exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
So what does this make you? You look around on YouTube and you see all these people as garbage and crap, and a lot of them are, I'll give you that, but some of them, they seem like they're trying to express ideas and thoughts as well. But you've made it very clear that it's very rare in your mind that any of them has anything worth saying. So, what does that make you? If they're fake, what are you?
I don't know why it has anything to do with me, right? I mean, realistically. I've never walked around saying, what is everybody else, and then say, what am I? So, you live from your internal out, and so it's just not part of the equation. So I don't consider myself, I don't exactly get on YouTube and do, I'm on YouTube like Brett Keane does, right? To me, this is a place you do this conversation thing, because that's where people are doing it. So it's not, I just don't think I'm just not a personality in that sense. I have a personality, but I'm just not trying to have a personality.
Why do you use Google if you hate it? Do you think Google hates you? You've said a lot of things about Google.
Yeah, well, that's a really long story, right? And it has to do with all this infrastructure, social infrastructure. Why do I hate Barnes and Noble versus public libraries? Or why do I, and Google has got, there's so much evil built into it. But, you could just start with the founding of it, right? It's this thing that starts off in Stanford University, a lot of public money in the beginning. It's supposed to be a non-commercial alternative because there's too many commercials on what existed back then. Alta Vista and Yahoo were, having to make a living, having to charge. And Google was giving it all away for free. They drive everybody else out of business, tell everybody how they're not evil, and then they basically do something that no other evil force could have gotten away with. If Bill Gates or Steve Jobs tried to put their ads on every web page on the internet, people would have hung them, literally. They would have gotten hung But Google got away with it because they just told everybody we're not evil, and they fell for it because they have a silly name, Google. So yeah, the public we got reamed by a marketing company, just totally fucked by liars. Yeah, and now it's this obnoxious monopoly. Nobody can really make any money doing this internet indexing thing, and so we're stuck with a corporation telling us what's on the internet. I think that's really dumb. I wouldn't want Barnes & Nobles to be running public libraries, and I don't like a fucking greedy marketing company essentially deciding what's on the internet, and that's what they're doing, and I think that's really dumb and tragic.
A lot of things about videos, but I'd like you to specifically state what is wrong with Google. Do you think that Google is doing something intentionally or deliberately to you?
Yeah, right, whatever. I mean, you just don't get it, right? I mean, billions of dollars in marketing nonsense. Huge incentives for people to do this all over the place. To spam the fuck out of the internet. To lie to make some money. To break the indexing. To, again, if you start seeing ads in the card catalog at the library, it might irritate you. If you start seeing books arranged differently on the bookshelf, not because of how they're categorized by content, but categorized by people who intend to make money, you might find that a little bothersome.
A person, or are you just a rat in the maze? What's going on with that? Let's see. What do you require in order to be happy and content? What would it take? I want to know every single thing that it would take to make you happy, to make you smile, to make you feel like life is worth living or valuable.
I don't know. Wintergreen massage oil. There. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I'm done.
If you do not feel like life has any kind of value or worth and stuff, then I don't know what to tell you about that, but I'd like to hear if there is something. Everybody's got a little Christmas list. Perhaps you don't give a fuck. Perhaps you would shoot Santa Claus right in the face with a shotgun if given me.
Well, I don't know. It might be fun, right? I mean, you know, yeah, you're not gonna, can't really go to jail for shooting a phony character, right? Or a fable, yeah. So that would be pretty, I'd like to do it in my sleep, let's say. But sure, why not? Yeah, I mean, this whole idea that you can make yourself happy in some sort of permanent way is just silly. So there's all kinds of little moments you can have. You can have them almost any time. Just well, whatever. Easy to do.
All right, the last question is, you find out that a woman you had sex with years ago has a 10-year-old daughter, and she just so happens to be your daughter as well, inmendham. So, what would you tell?
Oh, not my fault then, right? Yeah, come on. So what? Yeah, somebody surprised me with a daughter that's genetically mine, but hasn't had any contact with me for 10 years. And I should feel some responsibility towards its existence. I mean, really, realistically, clearly it's just the woman's decision to have. It wasn't my decision. I knew nothing about it, and I've had nothing to do with it for 10 years, and all of a sudden I'm supposed to think I have an obligation to do something for it. I don't know, that might be kind of silly. But let's just say it was dumped on me. Let's say somebody I know who knew me in the past dies, and in her will she says, yeah, she has a kid with somebody else, and she just leaves the kid to me. Please ask Gary's the only person I ever knew that was worth a damn. Have him raise my daughter for me. So that would be a more, that would get to me, because then I would feel the responsibility to the person I knew, and to try to do the right thing for her, because she trusted me. Yeah, it's a tough question, though. How much of reality do you dump on a kid? So I guess my answer is going to be a lame answer. I'd say, well, if the kid wants the truth, I'll give it the truth. But I'll force the kid to actually ask for it. to really dig for it, to ask the necessary questions. I won't overtly lie, but I'm sure I will try not to be too brutal. But yeah, you know, I don't know what else to say. That, you know, what I'm not going to lie to a kid.
Would you tell her that she is nothing more than a DNA replicate, that her existence means nothing, that life is not worth living?
Yeah, well, none of those things has anything to do with my philosophy, really. I mean, life isn't worth creating. Once you're alive, you're stuck thinking it's worth living. It's impossible not to think it's worth living. But it's incredibly dangerous, treacherous, and you're likely foolish to think you're going to win by living. So if you're living realizing that you might lose incredibly, and if you're living thinking that there might be some purpose you can put yourself to, well, then you might have some chance of living successfully. But if you think you're going to live and win, then you're an idiot.
And my last question of all, and this is the most important, this is probably the thing that will change evolution itself. It will make the universe turn. This will cause suns and stars to explode in the existence of our fabric of reality. This last question I'm going to ask you.
Purgatory.
When the fuck do you plan on fixing your broken toilet and ceiling?
The ceiling. Yeah, someday. And someday. That's right. I'll get around to it someday. Eventually. That's when I'll probably do it. Eventually. Yeah, I get this. Most stuff gets done. I mean, I have to admit, I'm not as productive as I used to be. But you know, it's the way it goes. I'm getting tired. I really am tired. And Cat's tired too. Cat's getting old and tired too. We're both kind of had it. Get both of us. Maybe we'll both go to the vet. Yeah. Take some sleep juice. Yeah. The long goodbye or the short goodbye or whatever the fuck goodbye will be. So anyway, I guess I'll say goodbye because Cat wants food and such. So, until next time.